now have a boyfriend, and I called her to introduce the boyfriend to her. And I told her to sit because I need to talk with her. And I told her...
And your dad is not there?
No, they're separated.
They're separated, okay.
And I told her, I'm gay, don't expect any grandchildren, don't expect a wife, don't expect this, don't expect that. And she was like, okay, I knew. Was just waiting on you. Because all those times you told me you were going by your co-worker, was not your co-worker.
And how long have you been doing that for?
For maybe 2 years.
Okay.
And you remember the guy that you went to his house to fight with him?
To fight?
Yeah. Because I was dating this pastor.
Of course you were. That's where all the gays are, in church.
And he had a picture of a police officer on his dresser.
Okay.
And I always asked him about the police officer, and he kept telling me that the police officer is his cousin. No, his uncle.
Oh, uncle. Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of the SJ Show. So happy to have you here. Remember, I had to do this, but that's what YouTube generation does. Click, like, how does it go?
Share.
Subscribe, share.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, you know what to do. Get your fingers on it. So welcome to the SJ Show one more time. I am with a guest from Jamaica, Marlon Taylor.
Oh my Lord,
your government.
All of it.
All of it.
Okay. Thank you for having me. But man, you gave away all the government. Yeah.
So, Marlon.
Yes.
Tell us about Jamaica. What do I know about Jamaica? As you see, guys, I freestyled, no notes. Besides music, don't start with Bob Marley, but of course, Jamaican music has changed our lives.
Yes, Jamaica is known in the Caribbean as the land of wood and water.
Wood and water. Why wood?
Because we are somewhat of a tropical forest type country, so there are a lot of woodland in the hinterlands of the country.
I see.
If you look at the map of Jamaica, we are like a fish. And the center of the country, which would be the main bone of the fish, is basically mountains and woodland.
Oh, and then where is Kingston between the two sides?
Kingston is on the eastern southern side of Jamaica. So Kingston is on the south coast.
I see. And then where were you born?
I was born on the north coast.
How big is the distance between Kingston and where you were born?
I was born somewhat central of Jamaica, and Kingston is more eastern of Jamaica, but it's on the south coast.
I see.
Yeah. We basically have south coast and north coast. The east is just a tip and the west is just a tip.
A tip as well. I see.
Yeah.
What is it, by the way? Gay man. How's he doing?
So, Jamaica have many Jamaica inside of Jamaica.
What do you mean?
Okay, so there are the uptown people of Jamaica who are closer to the slave owners that lived in Jamaica many years ago before slavery was abolished.
British?
Yes, they are very British. They are British in complexion. They are British in practice. They are British.
What do you mean by British in complexion?
They are white.
Really?
Yes. So when slavery was abolished, they chose to stay in Jamaica, and so they are third generation British people
I see.
that lives in Jamaica.
I've never seen an image or photo or anything. I would have never. But then, of course, I mean, every country has white people. But then I would have. I've never seen it from Jamaica.
Yeah, so they live in the upscale areas of Jamaica. They have the money. Before the late 80s, early 90s, they were the favored ones to get the best jobs and to go to the best schools and stuff like that.
But then, when did colonization? Okay, independence come. Let's phrase it that way.
Jamaica gained independence in 1962. But we have struggled with colorization.
Colorization.
Yeah, not racism, but colorization, because our four parents, they typically don't want you to talk to a black girl or to a black boy. You need to talk with somebody who have, in their opinion, nice hair
And the little creamy skin.
yeah, so the children won't be so black.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and so we have struggled with colorization for a long while. In this modern age and time, we still struggle with colorization because a lot of people, they bleach their skin to look brown, and to the point where they become pink and looks like the living dead.
Oh, I see. Yeah, but yeah, we do have the same problem in African countries as well. But it's I don't know. Maybe I'm jaded, but I don't think it's as bad as it was in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean,
For us,
we are just as people recognizing and accepting our Africanness.
okay.
So the Rastafarian movement, which started in Jamaica, it has been the movement that has been pushing for the recognition of our Africanness, the consciousness of our Africanness, and the preservation of our Africanness.
Okay.
However, as Jamaicans, we do not possess true Africanness anymore.
It's been what, 400 years?
Yeah, because there has been the intermix of the British with our mothers or grandmothers or great grandmothers. They produced children, and then when slavery was abolished.
First slavery was abolished.
Yeah.
Yes, 1820.
Listen, I'm not a historian. When when slavery was abolished, we had the
26.
indentured workers, and so
Coming in.
Yeah, the Chinese came, the Indians came, the Syrian came.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have a Syrian population in Jamaica.
Stop.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the Syrians that we see here, they look nothing like them.
So how okay, explain.
The Syrians that are in Jamaica, they are very tall. Well, not extremely tall like the Dutch, but they are tall. They are masculine.
Okay.
Not to disrespect our Syrian or Syrish brothers,
I'm listening to
but
you.
they are masculine.
One moment.
They
Turn this on. I don't know why it does that sometimes. It will be people with bad energy.
sorry.
It will be people with bad energy when
Okay.
that happens.
Okay.
Because usually we continue masculine.
Yeah. They are merchants by profession, so they have the haberdasheries that sells furnitures and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. I've never even seen a postcard to show that there's that type of diversity in Jamaica. Not even once.
Most of the Caribbean islands have many races.
But we see it with Trinidad, Tobago, and other
Yep.
islands except Jamaica.
We have Indian population, we have Chinese population, we have the Syrians population, we have the British population, we have the African population.
What do you mean by African population?
Because, okay, our forefathers came from West Africa, so along the western belt of Africa, they come from various tribes.
Yeah.
And the Maroons are the tribe that was never enslaved.
Oh, you do have Maroons in Jamaica as
Yes.
well. Oh, how are they now? Are they still unmodernized? Or
No, actually,
are they still marooned?
they have a section of the country for themselves, and they have their own government.
Really?
Yeah. Recently, they were trying to have their own currency, but it didn't fly.
I see.
When they got to Jamaica, they were too unruly for the British,
Of course.
and so they were never slaves. And they used to fight with the British, and the British did a treaty with them and gave them lands. And some of them, the British could not tame them by giving them lands, so they sent them to Sierra Leone, and they live in an area of Sierra Leone called Freetown.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've heard I'm a historian.
Yeah,
But for those who don't know,
yeah.
via Canada.
Interestingly, there are more and more Europeans that are moving to Jamaica.
Why is that?
From the documentaries that they have done, they state that Jamaica is a more laid-back country, and
Okay.
so
Lots of sunshine.
yes, but also the way of thinking. In Europe, you are born, you go to school. When you finish school, you go to work. When you finish working, you are buried.
You have a program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Jamaica, it's not like that. There are moments for self-preservation, self-realization, self-exploration, all of that.
Speaking of self-exploration, how does that happen for a gay man?
Okay, so I started by saying there are many Jamaica
Yeah.
in Jamaica, and I was explaining, and I started with the Syrians and so, and so then there are the minority groups. Rastafarians are also a part of
They're
the minority group. Yeah,
I suppose. Yeah, I see. Makes sense.
the Muslims are part of the minority group. Actually, there's only one mosque in Jamaica, and it's in Kingston.
Okay.
Because the Christian is the dominant group.
Okay.
Right. And so LGBTIQC people have been
IQ what? What's that?
curious. Questioning queer.
Hold up. I ain't never heard of that on LGBTQIC.
Yeah. Okay. So let me explain. I don't want to get into the gender conversation.
Oh, come on, we're going there. You know that people are going to want to know that because some people say LGBTPAYZ, something like that. So you just
Because,
think something different.
In when you're closer to South America, the letters are longer. So there's LGBTTI and other letters.
Oh my
Because
God.
they include transsexual and transgender, so they separate them.
They separate the two. Okay,
Yeah.
I understand.
And along the spectrums, they separate everybody.
I hope everybody understands as well.
Oh Lord, I'm so sorry.
Let's break it down. That's why we're here. Because not everyone understands the distinction between transsexual and transgender.
Transsexual are people who would have gone through the operation, the sex change, and all of that. Transgender is a different spectrum, so you can cross-dress. You can cross-dress for performances. You can cross-dress as a lifestyle. You can recognize yourself to be a woman and don't cross-dress, and so you fall under the transgender umbrella. Yeah.
Oh, and just to add on, transsexual is Well, people try to reclaim it, but that's why everyone just focuses on transgender only.
Right.
Continue.
All right. So, yeah, in the communities exist within Jamaica. So there is the gay community with gay men.
Yeah.
And then there's the gay community with trans women. And then there's a gay community with cross-dressers.
Is there? I was going to ask actually. I'm glad you brought it up. Are there that clear-cut separations?
Yes, because the cross-dressers they do so for sex work. Because our men who are afraid to come out, they are forever stuck in the closet, becoming the color of the closet. They will pick you up.
He's a comedian.
They will pick you up if you are dressed like a woman, because
there's the gay panic nonsense.
Yeah.
Do they know?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that is also the risk with sex workers, male sex workers. If you cross-dress, you and the person who is picking you up doesn't know, it is more risky for you than the person knowing. And sometimes they will call you and say, oh, can you wear a dress when you're coming by me?
Oh my gosh. That's tricky.
Yeah. And
by the way, expect sex educator 20, how many years of experience in the industry? 20 plus.
So I have worked as a peer educator on with HIV and AIDS and STIs. I have worked as the president for the Sex Work Association of Jamaica, so I've worked with sex workers. I have worked as a trainer of trainers with Sex Positive.
Oh, okay.
And so I have learned how to make sex positive and take away the negativity from sex, bringing back sex to a consciousness.
Okay.
Because we all engage in sex, we all have our fantasies, we all have our desires and so, but because we put a negative connotation to it, it puts us at risk. Yeah.
So then, as an actual professional in the industry of assisting key populations referring to people who are sexual minorities, how do you keep or how do you help these women, trans women, be safe?
Okay, so
I just say trans to put the umbrella and not to split it up.
So one of the things that we learn in Sex Positive is to bring it back to the individual.
Oh, okay.
So when you're educating, when you're engaging with any minority group, you don't look at it on a broad spectrum.
Okay, I gotta high five you for that.
You look at it as the individual.
Yeah.
And recently I did a training with another organization here in the Netherlands, and I brought back the discussion to me.
Okay, all right.
Me, as in the individual.
Individual.
So when you are aware of what you like sexually, what you fantasize about sexually, what you desire sexually, and what you practice sexually.
Wait. I love that. Let's break it down one more time. When you are honest about what you desire, what you
like, what you fantasize about, and what you practice.
I love that. It sounds like something that's in my book, but you put it in a different way.
Because what we desire is not necessarily what we practice.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And what we like is not necessarily what we desire. And what we desire is not necessarily what we fantasize about.
That's true.
And so when you're with your partner, or be it a sexual partner or a relationship partner, and you can say, I like this, it makes it safer for you as an individual than for you to go look for somebody who can fulfill this part of it, because when they are fulfilling this part of it, your head is not thinking,
No.
and so you put yourself at risk.
You know what it reminds me of? So I'm gonna put him on blast. An ex-boyfriend of mine, his friends, they asked him, because you know our boys, the whole thing that they can have girlfriends on the side and then they wanna pretend that it's all good.
Yeah.
So his friends asked him, so when you're having sex with a woman, what is it like? He was like, I'll be thinking of porn.
Yeah.
I don't want to give it away what exactly he said.
Right. I mean, we all do it.
You know what I mean?
We
But,
all
okay,
do
what,
it.
so what do you mean we all do
We
it?
all do
Do
it.
what?
Okay. Have you ever seen somebody that you are like, I want to have sex with this person, but you know it is not possible, and so you are having sex with your partner, and this person is also who you are having sex with.
Never. Oh my God. No, not me. Never. No. Absolutely.
It does happen.
Yeah. I do know it does happen. I do.
Yeah?
No, I'm a spiritual coach, so that doesn't happen to me.
And so because these things do happen, it also creates that risk factor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But,
Alright, so
but
I'll
let's
ask
go
you-
back to Jamaica. Let's go back to
alright,
Jamaica.
alright.
Back in the days, because I'm an old grandma.
Oh, grandma, that makes two of us.
Yeah.
How we doing?
No, I'm not Wendy. No.
Is.
No. I am an old grandma. I have grand and great grandchildren.
She actually does.
And-
She's the grandmama of the Jamaicans in the Netherlands.
Not just the Jamaicans.
Which ones as
Sorry,
well?
I have Syrian gays and Egyptian gays and
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
all Sierra Leone and Nigeria and
Okay, great.
yeah.
Somebody was asking me, sorry to diverge, somebody was asking me, are they gay Nigerians? I'm like, are you kidding
Oh,
me?
please, they are super queens.
Anyway, back to Jamaica.
So back in the days when we were growing up, we weren't
90s, 80s?
80s.
Okay.
We weren't a part of the generation that pushed the limits.
Okay.
And so we learned to survive within the country, within the culture, with everything that they do. We did the same thing, but what we do, it has a different meaning from what mainstream did.
But then tell me from a child's point of view, I hate to sound like an immigration official.
Go ahead. No.
When did you discover you were gay?
When did I discover?
Yeah.
I discovered that what I was doing was gay when I was 16.
That late?
What I was doing.
Oh, like the actual context, one of the four things that you mentioned.
So myself and my best friend at the time, we were sexually active together.
All right.
And that was from 12 years old.
Okay, all right.
And I used to attend church. And I used to hear about Sodom and Gomorrah, but could never place it until I get to high school. Where
So you don't know what you're doing with him
Aha. And when I
for
got
a number of years.
when I got to high school, where my science teacher was not afraid to talk about the subjects of sex and sexuality and sexual orientation and all of that, I was like, aha.
It had a name to it.
So every time he put it in, he was buggering me.
I've never had anybody say that before. Go on.
And that's when I realized what it was.
Okay. And how was it in your mind? How did you wrap your mind around it?
It was difficult
Oh my. Okay.
because you grew up in the church from you're 6, 7 years old.
Which church, by the way?
No, I will not say the name.
Oh, okay.
So it's a Saturday
Okay,
church,
okay.
but it's
Saturday church.
it's a Saturday church, but it's not the Adventist
Just like
church.
that. Okay. All right.
I grew up in the church.
Choir?
I can't sing to save my life,
All right.
but I was a lay preacher.
It's always the religious leaders who are always gay. That's my theory.
I was a lay preacher, so I was student deacon, I was youth fellowship president, I was Sabbath school teacher, I was Sabbath school superintendent, I was head usher.
I'm going to drink my tea to that. You were deep into the church.
Yes.
I've never been religious, by the way, so church things never affected me at all.
Right? And so when I found out exactly what I was doing, I struggled.
When he was.
What I was doing, I struggled.
Oh, okay, all right. Fine.
I struggled because then I was confronted with my sexuality and my Christianity. And for a number of years, I struggled. And I confided in my pastor.
The one you work with in the system.
Mm-hmm.
What was he like?
I confided in my pastor. And
do you remember exactly what you said? I'm curious how you phrased it.
I called him. I was crying.
Okay.
And I told him that I needed to tell him something. And I told him that I was struggling with my sexuality.
You said bisexuality?
No. I said my sexuality. And I went to church the Saturday and there was a deliverance service planned for me.
Wait, when you called him, he didn't say anything?
He talked with me and stuff like that, and I felt safe.
Okay.
And then I turned up to church and now the entire congregation is going to know because it's a deliverance service.
Did he mention single you out like?
I was the one they planned the deliverance service for.
Oh my God! Just you?
Mm-hmm.
Like
And,
come up all the way up front?
And let's talk about my church. It's family-oriented type church. So me, myself, my father's wife, my father, and my stepbrothers and sisters goes to the same church.
Naturally. And the entire village.
No,
of the system.
The entire village doesn't go there because it's hard for other people to fit into the church because
Why?
and I don't know if it's by design, but it's like you and your entire family, me and my entire family, somebody else and their entire family. So if you don't belong to any of the family, you don't really fit in.
Okay.
And most of the time when you fit in is when you get married to one of the child from one of the family.
Gotcha.
Right. And so my father was going to now know from the deliverance service.
Is your heart still in place? In that moment?
I sat there. There you learn that there are manifestations.
When you're sitting up front, by the way.
No, I'm at the pulpit.
Yeah, with him. The
with him and others. No, we don't use priests, we use pastors.
Oh, pastors.
And others. Yeah, and there was this church brother sitting at my head and he was so damn sexy.
Of course he is. By the way, gay people find each other in church.
And
So I hear.
The manifestation happened. You bring up what you're bringing up and you speak in tongues and the works. It happened.
Wait, but are you looking at your dad and your family, like...
At that moment, I don't care.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And all of that happened, but still I find my best friend still attractive. I still wanted to have sex with him and all of that. And I continued to struggle.
And then, wait, was it a big thing in your town that, there was a gay deliverance sermon for him?
Well, let's put it this way. From I was 12 years old, everybody assumed that I was gay.
Anyway. Okay.
And because I was overly effeminate.
All right.
And so...
Thanks, two of us.
It was
So
neither
it wasn't really
it
like...
was neither here nor there.
It was here. Yeah. Okay.
And my father heard rumors before, and so it was kind of a confirmation.
But then wasn't it hard for him?
He didn't accept, he didn't talk about it, anything like that. At all.
So you went out of the church like nothing happened?
He never spoke about it.
Well, I understand. It's
I
harder for dads.
eventually moved out of the house,
At what age?
19,
And when did the deliverance happen?
around 16, 17.
17.
I moved out of the house at 19. I left high school the Thursday, and the Friday I was working, and the following week I moved out.
Oh my God.
Because home, where I lived, did not feel like home.
Or you must have watched the previous episode of the SJ show where we talk about home.
And my community did not feel like it was my community.
They weren't aggressive towards you?
No. Growing up, no. They just knew that he's the weird one. He doesn't talk to people. He doesn't.
Okay.
I wasn't allowed to talk to people. I wasn't
What do you
allowed
mean?
to play. I wasn't. My parents, they were very strict type of parents. Is school, home, church, home.
Home.
That's it.
To all of you or just you?
All of us. And well, I grew up as an only child.
Oh, okay.
I have 7 brothers, 7 sisters, but I grew up as an only child.
Did they experience the same type of strictness?
I don't know, because they are. By the time I went to live with my stepmother and my father, my eldest brother, at 19 years old, he had moved out and started working.
Okay.
And my youngest, I don't recall living with the younger brother, because he's 17 years older than me.
Okay.
So by the time I went to live with them when I was 7 months old, and so by the time I got to the age where I can recognize stuff, they would have moved out. Yeah, and so at 19 I moved out
As well.
Yeah. I went to live on my own. It was a trying time for me. It was a trying time for my stepmother,
How come for her?
because she feared me living on my own. She
was a good stepmother.
Yeah, she was a very good stepmother,
Okay.
extremely good stepmother. And I had my first boyfriend.
Not the teenage one.
Roll back. When I lived with my mother, my stepmother,
Yeah.
I used to go visit a guy,
Okay.
and I would tell mommy that I'm going by one of my co-worker.
Okay.
When I moved out and I now have a boyfriend, and I called her to introduce the boyfriend to her, and I told her to sit because I need to talk with her, and I told her,
And your dad is not there.
no, they're separated.
They're separated. Okay.
And I told her, I'm gay, don't expect any grandchildren, don't expect a wife, don't expect this, don't expect that. And she was like, okay, I knew. Was just waiting on you. Because all those times you told me you were going by your co-worker, was not your co-worker.
And how long have you been doing that for?
For maybe 2 years.
Okay.
And you remember the guy that you went to his house to fight with him?
To fight?
Yeah. Because I was dating this pastor.
Of course you were. That's where all the gays are, in church.
And he had a picture of a police officer on his dresser.
Okay.
And I always asked him about the police officer, and he kept telling me that the police officer is his cousin.
Because,
No, his uncle.
oh, uncle.
And I said to him, well, you're my mother and my grandfather's pastor, because he's from a different church.
Oh, different church.
And you know my side of family, but I don't know anybody for you.
Except that's one in the photo.
But this photo keep nagging my brain every time I see it.
Of course.
And one day he eventually gave me the number for the guy on the photo. And the guy said to me, can you meet me in Spanish Town? And I was like,
Spanish Town, by the way, is the second city after Kingston, right?
yeah. Well, it was the first capital of Jamaica. It's not a city.
Oh.
Montego Bay is the second city.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I was like, but why do I need to meet you in Spanish Town? You're supposed to be in St. Thomas, which is the parish. So St. Thomas, then Kingston. So St. Thomas is east. Good. I said, but you're supposed to be in St. Thomas. Why am I meeting you in Spanish Town? And he said, okay, obviously the person who gave you the number didn't tell you anything.
All right now.
And knowing me, I went.
Gotta be a nosy bitch.
And for my safety, I was standing at a bus stop across from where he said we were supposed to meet.
CSI, crime scene investigation.
And he came to the location and he was calling the phone and I'm looking at him and I'm telling him, oh, I'll be there shortly, just hold on. And I assessed him and I was like, okay, he's safe to go with. And I said, actually, I am at this bus stop. And he said, oh, you're at the right bus stop. That's where I take the taxi to go home.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And I went home. I went to his house. And I called this partner of mine.
Together.
I called him on the phone.
Speaker?
No. And I said,
right.
somebody's here to talk. Girl, them days wasn't speaker, it was 3310.
I was about to say, what's that speaker?
So I said, somebody's here to talk with you. And so I called him and gave the police guy the phone.
Uh-oh.
When the police guy said hello, he hung up.
Oh my gosh, drama. Yes, we should have.
And then the police guy was like, oh, every weekend when he comes, he's my boyfriend, so every weekend he comes up to me. And I'm like, okay, good.
Good to know.
And so we did a throwdown in the house the night, and even when the guy wasn't doing anything.
What do you mean by throwdown?
Can I say?
Yes.
It's YouTube, right?
Yes, YouTube.
So we engaged in sex.
Okay.
And
with the police? Guys?
Yes. And I called my partner, and he was on the phone, and I was going at a rate. Even when the guy wasn't doing anything, I was going at a rate. And so he called my mother and told my mother.
Your boyfriend calls your mother.
Yes, and told my mother that I am a crazy bitch.
Like that?
Yep.
Oh my God.
So when I went back home, my mother said, oh,
what have you done?
So-and-so called, and he said that you're a crazy bitch. I was like, really?
This is the one you had introduced.
No.
Okay.
That's the one I used to say I'm going by my coworker.
Before.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And I said, what did, really? So he had gone overseas and he brought back some stuff for me and I packed them in the bag. And I walked 5 miles.
5 miles.
With them in the dark to his
That's
house.
Very nice.
Yes. To the house, because he was staying at the bishop's house.
At the bishop's.
To the house, and when I got there, I was drama, and I told the bishop came to the grill, and he was like, "Not in my yard, nothing." I said, "No, don't stay there. Open the grill and come, and you'll see if it's not in your yard."
It's in there.
Yep,
it's happening.
And when the guy wouldn't come for the stuff, I liked them, and that's when he ran out at me, and I stoned him with blocks and bricks.
And where's the bishop now? The things are on fire.
He was on the verge of making up noise. I said, you know my mother, you know my grandmother, my grandfather, you know my family, you know them, you don't know me.
Oh my God. Try me.
Just come out.
Try me.
And when the dust settled, I said to my then boyfriend that was rapidly becoming the ex, I need fear to go home.
Hey, then you need fear to go home.
And he was like, really? I said, try don't bring the fear come.
That's how it's done.
Yeah. And I went home and I never called him back.
Oh, that is the
So mommy reminded me of that incident.
Where is she now? I'm curious.
Who?
Mommy?
She's still there in my community.
Jamaica.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Oh my God.
Love her dearly.
Oh, we need allies.
Yes.
Need allies.
So when I introduced my boyfriend to her, we were supposed to go there for the Easter holiday. And the boyfriend grandmother died, and so he couldn't come with me. And when I got to the house, she was looking for him and she didn't see him, and she said, okay, you can go back now.
Okay.
So you come without him, so go back.
You can just go. Okay.
Yeah.
I see. I see.
And then and then my now partner,
Mm-hmm.
I introduced to her.
But then, tell me, how do you good people survive? It seems like there's a level of it being hidden, and then there's a level of it being open.
Listen, in Jamaica, you can survive if one, you have money.
Yeah,
If
that's
two-
always a standard.
If two, you are from the community and you are not brave and brazen enough to bring somebody into the community with you.
Okay.
They accept you,
Okay.
but somebody else is one too many.
It's one too many. Okay.
Right.
All right.
And that is the risk part.
That's the risk.
Because I can't bring you home, you can't bring me home. So we hook up behind the toilet, the public toilet, or on the beach or in the bushes.
Listen, can you rewind and say that one more time for people who don't understand how it works?
Yeah.
One is enough.
Yes.
But one, if you bring another one,
Yep.
it's now one too many.
Yeah.
I love that analogy. I've never thought of it that way. That makes so much sense. Almost any gay person that I know, the trouble started when you brought somebody.
Yep. And so
That's brilliant.
you can't have a partner that you bring home.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant.
You can't go to your partner's house. Your
Either.
partner's family know that he's gay. Your family know that you are gay.
Now there's two of you.
The community knows that you are gay, but they know you.
They know you.
And to some level, they accept you.
Yes.
But if you bring somebody in now, they're like, no, you're brave. You're too brave.
You're being too brave. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Love it.
And so I introduced my now partner for 10 years.
You've been together for 10 years?
Yes.
Oh, don't be fooled. Grandma is married.
So I introduced my partner to my mother first. Well, I introduced him to daddy first.
Ooh.
And daddy told mommy, and mommy called me, and she said,
Since when?
you introduced your boyfriend to your father, and you didn't tell me
And
anything.
you don't tell her. That would drive a mama crazy.
Because at first she didn't want me to tell daddy that I was gay.
Why?
Because she knows daddy. And daddy was born in the 30s. Those days there weren't any street lights. You walk with a torch.
But then, weren't gays there back then still?
Yes, and you know, I have an experience, right? My stepmother used to talk about this man in my community, and she used to refer to him that he's flu man.
Okay.
And I, as a child, very inquisitive, mommy, what is the meaning
What
of
is a
flu
flu
man?
man?
And she would run me. This is big people conversation. Go away.
But you know how parents do that. But then you hear everything.
Yeah, and then eventually I found out what she was talking about. And mark you, this man was married, had a family. He had position in the church also.
God damn it, man! This
And-
church. Okay, I want to go to this church. Sounds like
Not
it's
my
that-
church though, another church.
Oh, okay, all right.
And I can't say much about it because people watching would easily find out. And he was also in a relationship with somebody else from another church
Oh my god.
who is also married.
And then, how small is Jamaica in terms of gossip? Because I know in our countries you can easily, like da.
The thing with Jamaica, when slavery ended, there were like tribes, unspoken tribes created. So like the community where I am from, whatever happens in the community stays in the community.
Oh, really?
Yes. And it is difficult for people outside of the community to come into the community to live.
I see.
And that's typical Jamaica,
I see.
except for the corporate areas,
I see.
right? The little villages and so. Me and you is cousin, but my sister and you is not related, so you married to my sister.
Go right ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the family intertwine.
Good
So,
Lord.
so till you don't even know if you're married to your own sister.
I see.
Because my father don't own some of his children.
What do you mean?
It's the norm.
Oh.
Men in Jamaica just get children and they don't
Is it
want
really?
the child. They don't own the child. They disown the child. They said, "Oh, it's not my child."
Oh my God.
And so you don't know if you're married to your sister.
Wow. And then, oh wow. Oh wow.
And you don't know if you have sex with your brother.
Okay, is it that small?
It's that big.
Okay, how big? Give me like.
Okay. Listen,
Your where you stayed, how many people?
My-
population.
my grandfather
Mm.
had a child with my stepmother sister.
Okay, that's pretty. that's
And my father
that's as interlinked as it gets.
has two children with my stepmother.
Okay.
So
What's circling?
Technically, I am related to my stepmother family
Yeah.
through my aunt.
Yeah.
So my brother,
It's not really your
my
step.
my brother is my aunt nephew and my aunt cousin,
Jesus.
because they are two sisters' children, but my aunt is my father's sister.
But I understand as well. It's just that I'm now thinking with a modern mind. But then if I calm down and actually think about it, that's how the human population grew.
But
people had to marry each
things
other.
things worse than that happen in Jamaica.
What do you mean?
The man has a child with the big sister and married the younger sister.
Okay, now that's something else.
Yeah.
And where does the sister go? The older one.
The older sister is married to somebody
To
else.
somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look. Jamaica, we know you guys for being a little freaky. We see videos on YouTube. We're like, what is that?
And
In broad daylight.
there was a show called The Susan Show, where children who didn't know their parents or they didn't know their siblings were looking for their siblings.
Okay.
And there's a main road. One child live in this community and one child live in this community, and they don't know each other,
Yeah, how could they know? Yeah.
right? And things like that happen where they start dating each other, and the grandmother says, because the grandmother know.
The grandmother knew. Oh my god.
And sometimes it's the grandmother who gives away the children.
And what if there's a baby already, or at least
The grandmother still is going to break it up. She's not going to say why she's breaking it up, but she'll make both of their lives a living hell.
and then the child just
Yeah,
goes away with the girl, with the lady,
maybe, or stay with
or stays with the
the
grandmother.
father.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So what you were saying about the visibility and invisibility within the gay community, how then, because Jamaica has been labeled, I don't know how far true it is, you are here, as being the worst country to be gay in the whole world.
Jamaica is highly homophobic.
Yeah.
Extremely homophobic.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, most of the time the people who carries out these disturbing crime against gay people in Jamaica are themselves struggling with their sexuality.
It's always like that.
Are themselves the ones who you remind them too much of what they are afraid of in themselves.
It's always like that. I mean, there was a protest in Uganda, and someone on Twitter was like, the guy holding the placard, the Muslim leader, have a nice night with him. And we're like,
Yeah.
wow.
Because a lot of the hate that is spewed out at LGBT people in Jamaica comes from the church.
Yeah.
And the country is, we are the murder capital of the world.
Like murder in general.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Why is that? Not to be scientific, of course, in your
there's a lot of theory. One of the theory is that when Christopher Columbus went to Jamaica, he went there with criminals. The Queen of Spain gave him prisoners who were supposed to be executed.
Okay.
And they thought that the world was flat, so she didn't expect them to come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or survive.
And
or survive the fall of the cornered earth.
They stayed. Some of them stayed in Jamaica. The indentured workers that came were criminals themselves.
As well.
The Africans who went there are from the most aggressive tribes in West Africa.
Yes. Oh, by the way, you have an idea of your tribe. We're not going to mention it as they'll be angry at us. But anyway, so that mixture.
Yeah. Do you know that during slavery, the slaves that went to Jamaica, the other islands did not want them there because they could not manage them. They were that aggressive.
I've heard your people are aggressive,
and
from Africa.
It is out of the same slave people. The abolition of slavery was fought.
Yes, I remember the Jamaica Christmas. What do you call
the
it?
Christmas Rebellion
Christmas
with
Rebellion.
Samuel Sharp.
Yes.
And they burned the entire western estates down. Yeah, 200 plus of them were hung for the crime.
For that, yeah.
And that didn't stop them.
That didn't stop them either. Yeah. I mean, look. I mean, even the way your all those homophobic musicians, the way they sing.
Yeah.
It's like,
we are Jamaica and Jamaicans. I think one of the positive characteristics that we have is our aggression.
What do you mean
And
positive?
I'll tell you why I say it is positive. A Jamaican will go into the worst of a situation and make the best out of it with their aggression.
All right.
They will go at it hard.
Yeah.
I moved from Jamaica to Guyana.
Why?
Because
wait, so you've lived outside Jamaica before the Netherlands? Let's break that down.
So,
Guyana first.
I was
British Guyana.
Yeah, I was living in Jamaica, in Montego Bay to be exact.
Montego Bay.
And I overheard my landlord's son-in-law and his friends planning on attacking us, and the landlord's son-in-law telling them that he knows how to open the house to come in without the key, so they should wait until we are asleep.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I left the house, and when I asked somebody to go there to get clothes for us to go to work, when she got there, the house was broken into, stuff was taken out of the house, all of that.
For real. Like they really planned it.
Yeah, and what they couldn't take, they broke up. So they damaged the fridge, they destroyed the stove, they broke up the dresser, they broke up the beds, all of that. And then my landlord called to ask me about rent and light and water.
The nerve, the audacity.
And so I told her, with no uncertainty, that when her son-in-law and his friends put back our stuff in the house, then we would bring...
Or you acted like you didn't know.
Yeah. Okay. Then we would bring the money.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, nobody want Batman things. And I was like really? Like really? Why is the blue drum that was in my kitchen outside your family, your daughter and her husband is bathing with the water from the Batman drum? And she proceeded to curse me.
Oh.
And let's just say that I might have grown up as a Christian, but my mouth is not Christian.
Yeah, look, yeah.
And so I told her very harsh things, and her daughter called to ask me why I was rude to her mother, and I was like, did your mother tell you what she said to me?
And they know your stuff is...
Yes, because she took a TV out of the house.
Oh, also
Okay.
the things are
Okay.
nice. The things are nice
Uh-huh.
to keep for yourself.
Because I remember one day we were washing, and she looked through her apartment window and she said, "You guys have more underwear than what I have."
Oh.
So it was also coming from a place of jealousy,
Of jealousy.
and envy.
Yeah.
One young man said, "These two young boys just moved in the community and they have so much things."
Yes, jealousy and envy as well, but also the hardness of life as
Yeah.
well. You know?
No, because they are working. So it wasn't about the
Really?
hardness of life.
Really.
It's,
But then
it-
why
it's priority.
You think so? I would think that somebody that's jealous of your underwear has a hard life.
It's priorities. Because we had a
Okay,
child. We
okay.
had a child living with us that needs to go to school.
I remember you mentioned that.
And children going to school in Jamaica is not chicken feed.
So explain what you mean for the sake of the audience. What you mean by you had a child?
Where I used to work, we adopted. Well, we were caring for one of the clients of our workplace child, because she wasn't in a position to care for the child, and so the child was living with us. Somewhat a form of an adoption.
Yeah.
But Jamaica doesn't give children to single man,
Single man.
much
Let
less a
alone
gay man.
gay man.
Yeah. And
So you and your partner, you were with the child.
Mhm.
What was the landlord's view of it and the neighbors and?
Actually, we told the landlord that we were brothers,
Oh.
and my stepmother.
But the neighborhood had no idea.
No, and my stepmother was also living with us.
That's better. Okay.
Yeah, but she cursed me and told me, "Oh, you bring a lady in and say it's your mother."
Oh, the Jamaica drama.
Yeah, but at least I didn't marry someone who used drugs.
Yeah, true, of course.
At least I didn't. Do you know what is obia? It's a West African thing where you go to this healer man and he work magic for you to get stuff and that kind of a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a Sierra Leone thing.
Okay, all right. No,
I didn't go to an obia man to tell my partner to come and stay with me. He came at his own free will.
You know what? No, that's a good thing. That I was saving it for an interview for someone else, but since you brought it up, in the black community, and this is a strong finger pointing, when a man falls in love, everyone says he has been bewitched.
Yes.
That is the craziest thing in the whole fucking world.
I listen. I wasn't looking for a relationship. My partner wasn't looking for a relationship. We both were coming out of a very sour relationship.
Okay.
And we met at a support group.
Okay.
And
Best place to meet.
I don't know how, well, things just happened. And he brought a pants for me to wash. I washed it for him. And the pants did not go home back. It went into the drawer with clothes.
Slowly the things just
And
kept
then
coming.
a shirt came, and then an underwear came, and then a shoes came. And before you know it, he was living with me.
I love it. I love it.
At the moment, I was very vulnerable
Oh, okay. I understand.
because I had suffered homelessness,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
and I was picking up my life. And he came to the house, and for the first time in a very long time, I felt extremely secure.
Wow. Wow. Seen.
Yes, we were on the floor because I moved in the house without a bed, and we were on the floor with blankets. And he had his house. His house was walking distance from where I was, and he stayed with me the night, and he held me,
Oh my gosh.
and I felt held.
Intimacy.
I have a problem with with control.
Explain.
I don't like feeling like I am not the one in control of situations, circumstances, and so on.
Okay. Oh, now that there's two people in this thing.
Yeah, and that moment, I melted like butter against hot iron, and I didn't know if I loved him at the time. I just knew that he made me feel secure.
Wow.
And eventually, we grew to love each other.
Which year is that, by the way?
That would have been 10 years ago, would be 2013. Yeah, 2013.
Wow.
My best friend died in 2012.
Oh no.
And I was having a difficult time dealing with his death. I had a partner, and this is me, Jermaine. If I come into a relationship with you and you like to go to parties and you like to go to bar and that kind of a thing, I am not the one going to say to you, we're now in a relationship, you need to stop it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not that kind of a person.
Okay.
And so this person that I was with, he's a party goer.
Okay.
Everywhere party is, he's there. And gay parties in Jamaica is not cheap.
I can imagine.
Because they have to rent secure locations and so on, so it's not cheap. And if he wants to go to a party, I would support him to go to these parties.
Okay.
And at one point it felt like it was more of what I can give you rather than a relationship. Yeah. And so that relationship ended not so nice.
Okay.
And so with the death of my best friend and with him, we parted ways. It was too much.
Nice.
And that was part of the reason why I had to move from Kingston for my own sanity, because I couldn't function. And at the workplace where I worked, my best friend and I worked together because they pair you to do peer education work because it's safer for two people. And he was my peer to work with. And so every time I would take up the materials to go on intervention, he's there, and I just couldn't function.
Yeah.
I was and the worst thing, I went to rent the house that he was living in.
You what?
I rented the house he was living in.
You rent? So wait, did you have to see him even outside of work as well?
He died.
Oh, then he died.
I cared for him
Oh.
up to his death.
Oh my lord! Wow.
Yeah, and the heavy part of it, the day he died, I went to bury one of my cousins.
Okay.
And we were on our way back to Kingston, and I said to my HR manager, what a hell if we get the news that he died, now that we're on our way back home.
But no, you're not there.
And I got a call from the hospital, and they said, oh, he has been discharged, and nobody's coming for him, and so they are going to bring him home.
Okay.
I know bringing him home was not possible because he was too fragile to bring home. But I went home preparing for him.
Yeah.
I bleached the house out, all of that, ensure that everywhere was sanitized. And the morning I went to work, and his sister called and said, have you gone to the hospital from morning? And I said, no, because we're there preparing for him, trying to get one of those hospital beds that can recline and stuff. And she said, well, him gone home, you know. I said, but nobody is at the house. How them bring him home and nobody's at the house? And she said, no, not that gone home. He died.
Oh,
and
like that?
I lost it.
Yeah.
The entire office lost it.
That's how you found out?
Yeah.
Oh.
We couldn't function for the day. We had to close the office for the day.
Wow.
And his death changed a lot with the national program
Really?
because it was negligent on the side of the hospital and the doctors and the
And
programs.
the program.
Why what happened happened.
Yeah, yeah.
He was HIV positive.
Mm-hmm.
He would have had a treatment failure,
Okay,
and the system did not pick it up.
I see.
And he had thrush from his mouth to his anus. I would prepare a meal for him, and it would be just water because not even salt can't go on it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow.
I watched my best friend lose his organs. He died August 6, 2012.
Yeah.
However,
Wow.
he did not die on that day.
What do you mean?
Where he was living, there was somebody else living on the house,
Mm-hmm.
and they heard he was supposed to cut his hair, and he went to use the bathroom, and they heard him make a noise.
Mm-hmm.
And when they rushed in there was no life, nothing, and they kept calling him, and he came back,
Oh.
and the guy called me and said we had to get one of the nurse to come
Mm-hmm.
to take care of him so we can bring him to the hospital.
Yeah.
And I knew it was holiday because it's Independence Day,
Okay.
and so there wouldn't be any nurse. So I went, and there was blood. He was passing blood, and I changed his underwear, and the blood was so heavy in the underwear. I just dropped on the bathroom floor, and he said to me, "Don't bother with the crying man."
Yeah. Oh my
And
God.
and Kevin came and said to me, "Take one of the tweezer thing and take up piece of the what we thought was blood
Mm-hmm.
and put it in a clear bag. So when I take him to the hospital, I can show it to the doctor."
Oh.
And when they took him to the hospital, the doctor said, "This is not blood. This is his liver."
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was in the hospital for
Mm-hmm.
almost a month.
Wow.
And one day we went to the hospital to look for him, and a lady came with us, and she said to us, "Let him go."
Wow.
And we were like, what are
do
you
you
talking
mean?
about? And she said, "You all are hoping that he will get better, and he would come out of the hospital, and he would be himself again. He
It's
has no
not
organ.
happening.
He has no organ. His kidney was gone. His liver was gone."
Shut down of all organs.
He died.
Wow.
And when we went to the hospital, the morning after he died, we went to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
The nurse said, "Who is Marlon?"
Oh.
And I said, "Why?" And she said,
Why?
"Because
Yeah.
all day he asked for you."
Oh my Lord.
He wanted water. He didn't want it from the nurse. He wanted Marlon to come give him the water.
Wow.
It still hurts.
I can imagine.
Not as heavy like before, because before it was hurt and anger and everything mixed together.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Fear,
whole grief.
hurt, anger. I was boiling with anger to the point where everywhere I meet the management in the ministry, I would attack them
Mm-hmm.
because they were the ones who have their protocols
Yeah.
that allow the system to fall down. But his death was not in vain, because his death brought about the change in the system and how the protocols were supposed to be done.
Wow.
And his death triggered from the UN right down, because he was the chauffeur for the UN director for UN AIDS, and yeah,
Wow.
and so it was heavy.
Wow.
It was very, very, very heavy.
Wow. That is incredible.
Yeah, and so I have made a mantra for myself, and everybody who comes in contact with me knows this. It has nothing to do for self-glory or self-praise. I have lived for 42 years, and it feels like I have been living for 80 plus years with all of my experiences. You don't have to go through what I have gone through,
Even a quarter of
because I have the experience to help you not to go through it.
Yeah.
And so even coming to the Netherlands and going through the Azasi and knowing of the situations in the Azasi when there are people that I deem trustworthy, because I'm quick to assess people. When I deem you trustworthy, I open my doors to you. You can come for a meal, you can come for the weekend, you don't have to stay in the camp and be frustrated and depressed and all of that.
Yeah.
Because I've been through it. I was in the Azasi for 4 months, it felt like 5 years. Because I'm not accustomed to sitting down, I'm accustomed to working, and there I was sitting down doing nothing, and all sorts of things start playing on the mind.
Yeah.
And I started seeing Marlon, and I was afraid of Marlon.
Stop.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is, as human rights fighters, defenders, people who are always challenging the status quo, when you get that moment to pause and look at yourself, you are afraid of yourself.
Yeah.
You don't want to deal with yourself.
That's true. Oh, that's deep.
And
That's deep.
I had to learn to deal with me
First.
and I am still learning to deal with me because I am frightening of me. Being told that you have a gift, you have an ability, it's one thing for somebody to say it.
Yeah.
Because you can say, talk too much.
Talk too much. Yeah.
But the moment you pause and you see you, the real you, without all of the blinders of helping people, of doing this, of doing that, and you get that opportunity to see the true you, and you see what you have accomplished in spite of your messed up self.
Yeah.
You're like, oh fuck.
You did it.
This person is somebody to fear.
Why? Why is it someone to fear? Okay, why do you think it's somebody to fear?
Because one, with power comes great responsibility. And when you start realizing that you need to have great responsibility, you start messing things up.
Okay. All right.
When you don't realize your greatness, you don't realize that you need to have great responsibility, it automatically happens.
Yeah. All right.
But when things comes into consciousness, you yourself now is like, oh, I can't say it this way, and before you know it, you're saying things that is messing you up, messing up the person you're talking to.
I see.
But before, you were just doing it.
I see.
And you didn't. You were ignorant to the fact, and so you had no consciousness of messing up.
I understand. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, it reminds me of Shakespeare. Some are born great, some are
Acquire greatness.
acquire greatness, and some, of course, crash. I love the statement. Why am I forgetting it? Some are born great, some have greatness thrust upon them, some acquire greatness. From Twelfth Night, one of our books that we read. So, how do you then decide to say, Guyana, I'm now leaving?
Guyana has
Up to the
the
next
Caribbean
chapter.
is influenced by Jamaica.
Not even Africa as well.
Yeah, but
Africa as well.
when we got to Guyana, we realized that our music was the dominance in Guyana. We realized that our culture was heavy in Guyana, and so we were like,
it's not gonna work.
it's one in the same. And I've been to the Netherlands in 2016 for work.
Okay.
Not red light district work, but for work. I came back in 2017 for work, and 2018, and 2018 would have been the last year to come.
Yeah.
And we said, okay, let's see if the organization that we're coming to is willing to give us an invitation letter for my partner. Because they are covering my expense
Just
for
you.
visa and all of that.
All of that, yeah.
And so they agreed to give us an invitation letter, because I told them, I kind of lie. I told them that I've been traveling all over without him, and I would like for him to have an experience. And so we got the invitation letter.
Okay.
And we sold what we had in Guyana, what we could have sold, because Guyana is worse than Jamaica. Everybody watches you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
then you're new, so
yes,
you're not
and
local.
that's one. And two, even though we are, Jamaica and Guyana is similar. I'll tell you this. As a foreigner going to Jamaica as a gay person, you are more welcome than the gay people in Jamaica.
Why?
Because
Black
you're
foreigner or
because you're a foreigner.
or European?
Because you're a foreigner.
So
Full stop.
you mean I could go to Jamaica
Full
and
stop.
have a jolly
Because
good time?
because you're a foreigner. Full stop. So when we
Really?
get to Guyana, we were foreigners.
You were foreigners.
And everybody wanted to be our friend. Everybody wanted to go to the market for us. Everybody wanted to do this for us, that for us, even though they know we were living together.
Oh my gosh.
But when Guyanese people live together,
Yeah.
it would be a big problem.
I
Yeah.
see. Wow. And then you left your son,
Yeah.
and of course, unfortunately.
That is still the
Adopted.
hardest part.
Yeah, I can imagine.
One, when he came to live with us, he was really struggling with education. My partner, being experienced with early childhood education, he brought him to a level where his lowest grade was 85%,
Wow.
and he cried.
Wow.
Yeah. We developed a relationship where he made decisions for himself.
Wow.
And so he was unlearning what he learned from his mother, because the mother would decide what he brings to school for snack, what he wears, how he goes to bed, what time the mother would decide for him. And I'm like, no, he's growing. He needs to learn to make decisions for himself.
Stuff, yeah.
And so when we go to the supermarket, I would say, pick up your snacks. And I let him know, whatever you pick up for your snack, you are going to eat them.
You guys have to eat it because it costs money.
Because I'm not the one eating them, so I'm not picking them up for you.
No.
You go and pick them up.
Yeah.
And we would be going home, and I said, oh, what would you want for dinner this evening? And the mother would say, oh, you're spoiling him. Not spoiling him. It is allowing him to make choices for himself.
Yeah.
And so when we left and went to Guyana, I remember his mother called to say that it is his birthday and he is refusing to celebrate his birthday.
Without
No, it wasn't because we weren't there. So she asked me to talk with him.
Okay.
So I spoke with him and I said, why don't you want to go out for your birthday? He said, I have assignments to do and I'm doing my assignments.
Gotta keep the 85% going up.
And so we had to have a conversation. I said, what did I tell you about study and no play.
Not good.
And what did I tell you about play and no study?
Yeah.
And so we had to talk it through. And I wasn't telling him to go. I wasn't telling him to stay. We talked it through.
His
and
mother
he shared,
doesn't have the language.
right, and he shared his point of view. I shared my point of view with him, and we keep discussing it. And then he said, okay, Daddy, I will go for 1 hour.
Ah, perfect. Oh, that's enough.
He was 10.
That he was 10. Oh my God.
And he went.
And how old is he now?
He's 14.
14.
He went, and my friend took him to a ship that comes to Jamaica with a lot of books. They call it the book ship.
Okay.
And you can get books to buy cheap, very cheap on it.
Okay.
They are used books though.
Oh, okay.
And when they went on the ship and was walking around, and my friend said to him, go pick up whatever books you wanted. And he had to take pictures of the books and send to me. There was not one comic book. There was not one cartoon book. There was no coloring book. All of the books he picked up were educational. And I was like, Jordan, why didn't you pick up other books? Well, they're not going to teach me anything.
Oh my God.
And the mother called another time to tell me to come for him because they went to the supermarket, and he was like, oh, Mommy, we can do without that. You don't have to buy that.
He's used to a different way of living. Yeah. Oh,
and at one point, when he was living with us, he was disconnecting from his mother. And I had to stop him.
Sit him down.
And I said, she's your mother. 1, you don't talk bad about your mother.
Full stop.
2, whatever she does for you, you appreciate it. 3, you learn to be grateful. And so we had to have that conversation because I grew up with my stepmother. And so I had to deal with mother and stepmother. And when my mother came back in my life at 19 years old, I find it difficult to connect with my mother. And I had to learn to connect. My mother, my biological mother, she didn't make it easy for us. It's 6 of us she left. And she didn't make it easy for us to connect because when we tried to connect, there was a resistance. And but I had to learn to deal with the resistance, to deal with the disconnect, and to find a way to reconnect.
Wow. That's a process.
Yeah, but I connect with her with boundaries.
Yeah.
You
19 years.
You weren't there. You weren't there when I needed you, and therefore you don't have a say in how I treat my stepmother.
Yeah. 19 years and 6 other siblings. That's It's a mountain.
Yeah,
a big one.
And all of us, the 6 of us, we feel the same way. Because we were lucky to get people to raise us that were very nice and kind and loving and treated us as their own children.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing.
My bigger brothers, they said my stepmother treated me better than they treated them as her own children.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
But I was the one at home. I was the one who got connected with my stepmother
the most.
And so that was part of the reason why it took so long to come to the Netherlands.
I understand.
Because there was a rush from Jamaica for LGBT people to run from the country.
It's always a ticking.
And
thing.
when a lady that I worked with, when she said to me, sell your stuff in the house, go get a loan, buy your plane ticket and come. I said, hell no. My mother is still alive, my stepmother is still alive, my father is alive. And I wasn't ready. Of course. And I left home at 19. And 21 I was back home. I left right around 22. And by I was 24 I was back home.
Yeah.
And I went back to live on my own, and I called mommy one day and I said, Mom,
Mm-hmm.
this is my stepmother I'm talking.
Yeah.
I said to her, I'm coming home.
This is now at 24.
25.
Oh, 25. You're not going back for the
Third time.
Third time.
And she said, why? I said, because it's hard. And I want to come home, because that sense of, oh, they can help to take care of me was always there. And she said this to me, when you have the flu, you take medicine. The flu will get better. Stay where you are. Take medicine.
This time she said stay where you are.
Yeah, she said stay where you are, take medicine.
Okay.
Because if you keep running each time, you are not learning to deal with it.
Alright, I understand.
And it's been 20 plus years I've not gone home.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That is incredible. It actually reminds me of Maya Angelou. She said before she died that her mother, when she was, I think, a teenager, she said, you have the freedom to go out into the world, but if anything is difficult, come back home. Lucky for her, she never had to go back at any point.
It's not that they wouldn't want me to come back home, but they saw that it was becoming a pattern.
It was becoming a pattern, yeah.
And so I wasn't growing up. I wasn't learning to deal with difficulties. When it gets difficult, I pack up and go home.
Yeah. I understand.
But I founded a friend. And so if I'm in Kingston and it gets difficult, I just pack up and go to her.
Yeah. Community strong.
And my mentor, the last time I packed up and I went to live with her, my mentor called me and he said to me, are you going to continue to sleep on people's floor or are you going to grow the hell up?
Did it work?
Yep.
It worked.
Yep.
Thank you, mentor.
Mr. Ian McKnight, I appreciate you so much.
Well, and then to round up, the love of your life. Partner.
Yeah.
What would you like to say to the person who held you and made you feel held, made you feel seen, and all of that?
Before I say what I want to say to him, being in a relationship is not easy.
It's not easy. Okay, why is that?
Because one, you are from two different cultures trying to cohabitate together.
Even if it's people from the same country?
Because your country is one culture, your family is another culture.
It's another culture. All right.
And so you both are trying to live together.
Yeah.
And your beliefs, you as a person is trying to mesh with somebody else, and you keep getting the resistance.
Yeah.
And so a relationship is a work in progress. It means you hate him for the moment. You can't stand him for the moment. It means you want to see him move out and go live on his own and all of that, and then he goes to work and he's half an hour late to return from work, and you start panicking.
Oh my gosh.
And that's when you know that you are there for each other. In spite of the hurdles that you have to cross, in spite of the challenges that you have to face, as long as you can face them together, it builds you, it makes you stronger.
Oh, that's so
Listen,
nice.
some of us, we're stubborn.
I now know that today.
Some of us, we are extremely stubborn.
Oh, not just stubborn, but extremely. Okay.
Okay? And to top that off is when there are two extremely stubborn people
Oh no.
trying to cohabitate.
All right. I understand.
That rules the same sign.
Wait. What's your star sign, by the way?
Aquarius.
So is he?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But one I am the air of Aquarius, and he's the earth of Aquarius.
Oh, it's the earth,
Yeah.
right?
He thinks
I can't date Aquarians. I'm sorry.
he thinks more logical. He thinks
Or not.
he's systematic with what he does.
Yeah.
I am the happy-go-lucky person.
Ah.
He will say, okay, we need to get this, and he will work towards this. I would say, oh, we need to get this, and then I see something and I buy it, and I forget that I needed to get that. Yeah.
Spontaneous.
Yeah, I'm the happy-go-lucky person. I get annoyed easily. Yeah, I am the social butterfly of the couple,
Well, one
and
has to be.
he's the introvert.
Oh, that's perfect.
He's not fully introvert because if there's a subject that you need to discuss that he likes, oh Lord, you can't get him to shut up.
All right.
Yeah.
That's
He has his strengths and his weaknesses. I have my strengths and my weaknesses. And the funny thing is, his strengths are my weaknesses, and his weaknesses are my strengths.
Oh. Well, right angles, they.
Yeah.
It's a square. Get a square somewhere.
Yeah. I have grown to appreciate having him in my life. I don't want to say his name.
It's all right.
I have grown to appreciate him and to have him in my life. He brought a sense of stability in my life. I have been 10 years plus off the street, not homeless, driven, having a sense of direction and all of that.
Yeah.
Before I get tired of paying bills, I go live on the street.
What do you mean by the street? Like literally
Yeah.
on the street?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Sleeping on the beach, sleeping on the shop pays, or sleeping at the bank door.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was a wake up call where I had one of those strings that you attach to your phone. It was in my shirt pocket, but there was nothing attached to it. And when I got up the morning, somebody used a razor to cut the shirt pocket because they thought something was in there.
Something was in, yeah.
And I said that could have been my neck.
Yeah.
And
The impression that
and I made the conscious decision to take myself out of the situation.
Yeah.
And when I took myself out of the situation, I knew that it was going to be challenging. I didn't know where to get the help because I have not so bad anymore trust issues.
Yeah, look, 8 billion people in the world. I think all of us by now have trust issues.
But I mean, I am from a culture where you tell people anything when you and them have argument, they tell you back.
It goes,
And so I had major trust issues, and so I didn't know where I would have gotten the support from. And then he came.
He just came along. Oh my God.
And
that's so nice.
I was actually invited to the meeting, the support group meeting, and they told me at the Jamaica Red Cross, and they told me, oh, we're waiting on this person, and I'm like, why does this name sound familiar? Actually, I didn't know the person. I was like, why does this name sound familiar? And when he came, he had a head of hair, and I started teasing him that I can comb the hair I can braid the hair for him and stuff, and he gave me all the excuses in the book that existed.
Did he know you?
No,
he didn't know you either.
And one thing led to the next and to the next and to the next, and 10 years later we are here
in Holland, Netherlands.
It is 10 of the best years of my life. It is 10 of the most annoying years of my life.
Why is that?
Aquarians likes their freedom. They like to just up and go when they want to and all that kind of a thing. They are hippie, so they don't like to stay one place.
Okay.
And
But then he's an Aquarius as well.
yes, and I think both of us are holding us in one place and keeping us grounded and keeping us stable.
I see. Gotcha.
Yeah. And I don't know if I want to say the next part.
Don't be shady.
I was going to say something that has to do with my work that I did to survive when I lived on the street. I was a sex worker.
You can share one round, you know. Yeah.
And so being with him, I no longer have interest in sex work.
No, but speaking on that, I didn't want to bring it up, but I'm glad you did. Maybe you might want to explain to people, why is it that LGBT people are likely to but end up working as sex workers?
Okay, so when there is discrimination, stigmatization, and all of the phobias, there is a limited education, little or no education, unemployability, yeah, and all of that, and so sex work becomes the easiest thing to survive.
But then, how come there is such a demand, lack of a better word?
Okay. Working with the sex workers in Jamaica, we realized that gay men makes more money than female sex workers.
Oh, okay.
Men pay more for anal penetration than for vaginal penetration.
Oh, really?
Men pay more for the risk of engaging in certain sexual activities than, because with a female police coming, it's just a female. With a male police coming, both of you tearing down the gully and running. Yeah.
Like the Hungarian minister in Belgium 2 years ago. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Also, it is sad, but it's the reality. A gay man, well, a group of gay men will say, we're charging €500. They are charging €500. They are not going below it. With female sex workers, they say, oh, we're going to charge €500, and before you know it, somebody's charging €100.
Or 50.
Yeah. And it is very sad. But it's the reality.
Yeah, actually, you're reminding me. I've heard, I'm not going to mention the organization, but there is an organization which shared with me that sex workers who live in the Netherlands, they want to go back to homophobic countries because they earn a living.
Yeah.
Which is way better than
yes.
Like,
and there has been the discussion in Jamaica where when we talk about advocating for the rights of gay people, a lot of gay men in Jamaica say, why? You're going to take away the excitement from it.
Wow. Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And the money.
So going over the cholera cemetery, because we have cemeteries that are people who died from cholera is buried there. So going over the cholera cemetery to engage in sex is exciting than going into a bedroom.
What in the necrophilia is that?
Yeah. Having sex with a politician tonight and having sex with a pastor tomorrow night and having sex with a policeman the next night gives you strength.
Yeah.
But when you legalize it, there's no strength. Because you can talk about when the pastor man is preaching, you can say, shut up.
Yeah.
We bugger last night.
Oh my God, that's.
But when you legalize it, they can talk and you can't say anything because it's legal.
Oh, that is wild to me. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, finally, last but not least, I have what we call a dinner. We gotta go to dinner. We're hungry. I have what I call a dandruff question. Make your head scratch a little bit. I ask you to choose between one of two things. Because you're from a musical country. Bob Marley or Peter Tosh.
Oh, Jesus.
You can only
Oh,
choose one.
why did you choose those two icons? Bob Marley.
It's called a head scratch question.
Bob
That's
Marley.
why I have it. Bob Marley, are you sure?
Yes.
You don't sound sure.
Bob Marley.
Bob Marley.
But,
All right.
but with all due respect,
Yeah.
Peter Touch, Bob Marley, Dennis Brown, Gregory Isaac, they
Isaacs.
are all icons. They are musicians.
Proper music.
Yeah, their music never die. It's not like these hurry come up ones that the music lasts for two days.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I was in Utrecht one day. I was just walking by. There was a records shop. Guess what I found?
Bob Marley?
The 1975 album.
Of Bob Marley?
Yes.
Gosh.
Listen. I'm just.
I went to school with an Eritrean, and he wanted to educate me on Bob Marley.
Child, you should have been like, child.
I allowed him.
Oh, you allowed him?
Yeah.
Well, that's what a grandmother does.
And I allowed him and pretended as if I didn't know.
Marlon Taylor, thank you so much. That was such a rich
Thank you.
and wide-ranging interview. I cannot even thank you so much for traveling all the way hours and hours.
Yeah, I came all the way from Germany.
Oh, literally all the way from Germany. I don't even know where that is.
Actually, there's an Hardenberg in Germany.
There's a Hardenberg in Germany as well.
Mhm.
It always fascinates me when I come across names which are there in both Germany and,
Yeah, and,
the Netherlands.
The unfortunate thing is they are borders.
Wow, I guess it's similar to Limburg because I know there's a Limburg in, well, I live there, Limburg in Netherlands, and Limburg in Germany, and Limburg in Brussels, not Brussels, Belgium.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good people, thank you so much for hanging out with us. I really hope that this conversation was as rich as it was for me. But of course, Abantu. See you next time.
What good?
What good?